Quick heads up, this video has been recorded with a headset microphone because that was what happened to be available at the time, which means the audio quality will likely be slightly more bad than usual. Yes. Anyways, go video. Alright, so this is a live review slash opinion piece slash showcase of Vampyr, a narratively focused third-person action game developed by Don't Nod Entertainment, probably most well known for their episodic game Life is Strange, as well as potentially Remember Me. Albeit, funnily enough, that game was rather unmemorable. Either way, it was published by Focus Home Interactive. They are probably most well known for their Sherlock Holmes games, as well as potentially Trackmania, I guess. Both of these are French companies, by the way, in case you're interested. Either way, it was released in 2018. I would say it's primarily a console title, but it has been ported to PC, albeit it was released for both PC and console. Either way, I'm playing with the controller because in certain cases for third-person action games, I find it feels rather fine to play with the controller. I never play with a controller for FPS games. I don't understand why anybody would use a controller for FPS games. Controllers for FPS games are bad. Yes, this is a truism. Wait. No, truth. Right. Never mind. Either way, let's start. So I am going to jump into my game here. Act 2, Chapter 4, it should be. I think I am about 70% through the game or somewhere around there. So that's about where I am in the story. I am not going to do too much spoiler-heavy things. I am not going to engage in any main story missions, because this game is, as mentioned, narratively focused. The kind of story and narrative and what's happening around that is quite important to the game, and so I don't really want to spoil anything when it comes to that. Let's very quickly look through the option menu. It is essentially a PC port from console, so as you might expect, the kind of extent of different options and customization is somewhat lower as compared to natively PC games, or what I would consider to be more primarily PC focused titles. Nevertheless, as you see here, most of the basics when it comes to options and when it comes to resolution and settings and so on and so forth, it's pretty much there. And when it comes to video, right, quality settings are present to some degree at least. There's some customization here. The key bindings are fully rebindable, which is good and nice. It should always be the case as far as I'm concerned. If you have controls for keyboard and mouse, you should be able to control which keys goes to which action. Rebindable keys is very much expected nowadays as far as I'm concerned, but there is certain games that sometimes don't have it for whatever reason. When it comes to the controller, it is static. You can't rebind the controller controls. You can't customize that, unfortunately, but that's not particularly unusual either. Other than that, you can, turn on and turn off vibration, mouse sensitivity, so on and so forth. So that's cool. Language, you can change the languages. This is, of course, the subtitles. They don't have, how many is it? 5, 6, 7 different languages fully voiced. Yeah, no, that's obviously not the case. Subtitle size only goes up to medium for whatever reason. Medium is legible for me, for sure. It's not a big problem. I also don't have any kind of visual impairment. So if you do, screw you, I guess. We don't have a large option for whatever weird reason. So yeah. They do, however, have name of speaker in case you have hearing impairments, I guess. So that's nice. When it comes to audio, it's actually really nice because you have fully separate audio sliders for all the different types of audio in the game. So you have separate for voice, music, SFX, cinematics, and master. That is very nice. I always like when you can customize this. Not all games has this. I believe I played Far Cry 5 not too long ago, and that one only has master volume essentially, other than voice control for the other players. So that one just doesn't allow you to customize anything at all. So this is by no means always the case, but it's nice that it's the case here, of course. And as you see that it is all the different audio, so it's separate for voice, music, SFX, and cinematic. So all of the different audios have different volumes, which is nice. That's pretty much it though. That's the options menu. It's fine, it has the basics, pretty much what you would need. Potentially missing some accessibility options for people with disabilities, which is always nice to have, but either way, such is life. Let's jump into my saved game here and show you a little bit about what's going on. And here we are. Welcome to Vampyr. Vampyr is, as mentioned, a narratively focused third-person action game, meaning I will try to show you a little bit of dialogue and how that stuff works. The game basically consists of 3 different parts. It is, of course, combat, we have dialogue and narrative, and then we have a pseudo-investigation style of gameplay where you can find hints and so on and so forth. But it is not a Sherlock Holmes game, and it's not a detective game. It's not a La Noire game or anything like that. LA Noire. It is. It has some investigation elements, but it's not the focus of the game. It's not an investigation game. But without further ado, let's chat with someone, shall we?
Hello, Venus.
Hello, Jonathan. Please come in.
I'm gonna try to show you a number of different characters so you can see a little bit how their voice acting is as well.
What do you need from me, Jonathan?
Overall, it's good, by the way. The voice acting, dialogue, and so on and so forth, it's very solid all around, I would say.
Have you noticed anything peculiar about the neighborhood recently?
You mean except for your return to town? No. Oh, and again, Jonathan. Please accept my condolences for your sister.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Venus. It was so sudden. And I've been so busy, I haven't spoken to anyone about it.
I wish I could have assisted at the funeral, but, you know, it's been so quick. And what with the epidemic in the streets?
There's no need to apologize, my dear. It's normal, considering the circumstances.
No, it's not. I am sure that Clarence has not even thought to present you his
Oh, that's not intentional.
condolences. He is too busy with his penny dreadful stories.
Right. So these are normal conversation options. They won't do much other than potentially give you a quest. There is a few quests for each kind of area in the game. There isn't a large exhaustive amount of quests, but there is like maybe 5 quests per area, and then you have like 4 areas, so maybe you have like a 20 side quests or somewhere around there, give or take. And then you have a small amount of like kind of in-world interactions you can run into as well, because they have a few like quote-unquote random events. They're not random, but they are unannounced events that you run into, such as someone being attacked and you can save that guy and they go back to town or whatever. So there you go, something like that. So those are the normal dialogues again. So normal dialogues, as I said, they can present you with a quest potentially, very, very occasionally. It's not common, but there is a few quests. So each character might have a quest. If that character has a quest, they might present the quest through dialogue, obviously. It's normal dialogue. Another thing they can give you is hints, which I will explain right now, in fact. these are hints. These are what hints are used for. This is what hint does, yes. So hints are things you need in order to use your kind of vampire persuasion ability, I suppose. Some kind of weird psychic ability that vampires has, because you're a vampire. I probably should have a little bit of a quick summary of what the story is about as well. I can take that after I've spoken with this woman here. So the hints will unlock these basically options, or dialogue options here, which will use your vampire abilities when you use them. So let's try that and you'll see how that looks.
What do you think about Clarence squandering his fortune on his obsession?
Soon we'll be poor and forced to sell the house. Where will we go? In which filthy, infected part of town will we end up? I'm so afraid.
Indeed. So you say that it was some kind of weird magical effect, I guess, when I asked that. So hints are essentially, well, it's hints. It is what it is. Rather self-explanatory. About someone's some kind of information pertaining to a character, essentially. It can be about their life, or can be about their situation, or something similar to that. And if you have this hint, or you have this information about the character, you can kind of induce them to tell you about whatever that is. That's basically what hints are. So you can quote-unquote force them. You kind of force them, I think. I don't know. It's some kind of weird vampire ability, as you saw, that makes them compelled to answer your question, even though it might be a very personal and basically a question they would not be naturally inclined to answer. But anyways, yeah, you will basically just make them answer. It's not like they seem to be harmed by it. It's just that they're completely willing to tell you whatever you ask them, as long as you have that little hint first. See you around. Alright, cool. That's kind of how the dialogue system works. It's not particularly complex. Now these hints will unlock information about the characters, and I'm going to tell you what that is used for in 1 second. But first I'm going to just actually tell you what the kind of the game is about, I guess. Very, very kind of broad overview is that you come back from World War I, you get turned to a vampire, you try to figure out why you vampire. Also, horrible plague situation in London, everything is shit, people are dying and are sick, and it's under quarantine, that's how you say it. It's not quarantine, the frick. And there's a bunch of people around and monsters around, and you fight them. So yeah, that's cool. Anyway, that's pretty much it. And let's go into the kind of menu and show you a bit about what this is about, because this is a pretty good way to kind of show you how the game mechanics work. I don't know why I have random... Can I remove you? Why do I have random freaking markers all over the place? Stop it. Remove. The heck? Alright. Where's this? Okay. So yeah, this is the map, but let's start with this one. This is not too much to tell you about here. This is just lore that you find throughout the game. Tells you a little bit about the vampires and the different factions and so on and so forth around the city. Inventory. He has the weapons. Now there is one-handed and two-handed weapons. Two-handed, of course, takes up both your hands, so you're just going to be using one weapon if you use these. Otherwise, you will combine your one-handed with a offhand or a firearm. Now I have 4 firearms. This is everything I found throughout the entire game. Again, all of these weapons, in fact, are this is all I found throughout the game. So you're not gonna find a large amount of weapons, right? Now the one-handed, they are damage focused. These are damage dealers. Two-handed is also damage dealers. Firearms are sort of damage dealers as well. Offhands are not really damage dealers. They are more so special function weapons, essentially. They're special weapons that has a certain niche and certain effect that they are especially good at. And basically there is two different effects in this game that are relevant here. One of them is blood observation, and the other one is stun. Now, both of these actually sort of fulfill the same purpose, but in different methods, essentially. Firstly, let's just look at normal weapons. These are pretty simple. Each weapon has 5 upgrades. The upgrades will increase the damage your weapon does, and then you choose one of these two additional kind of specialization things for each level as well. You can change these at any time at a workbench if you wish to do so. So that's how that works. Pretty simple. Each weapon has their own kind of upgrades. So some of them has, for example, damage or stamina consumption. Some of them do not decrease in stamina. Instead, they only have maybe, let's see, this one has stamina consumption or stun. Does not have the damage. So yeah, basically it's different upgrades for each weapon here. Now, let's see here. Yeah, you can do damage or stun, for example, in this one. So let's talk a little bit about these two different sort of effects then, shall we? So when it comes to blood observation, this is essentially mana steal. Blood is the thing you use in this game to cast spell effects and spells. Blood observation will obviously steal blood from the enemy, fill up your blood gauge, and make you capable of casting spells. So it's essentially a mana steal. Now this mana steal always works because all enemies that aren't dead has blood, I guess. So that means it's not like mana steal in some games where the enemy has to have mana. All enemies, as long as they are alive, do have mana, or whatever you want to call it. Well, they do have blood, but blood is mana, so yeah. Then we have stun. So stun basically chips away on a resistance bar which each enemy has when you reach the kind of end, meaning you have filled up or broken down their entire resistance bar, however you want to see it. The enemy will become stunned. At this point, you can bite the enemy, which will drain their blood in the similar way to how kind of blood drain works, but with this kind of special bite attack instead. However, at the end of the day, it sort of achieves the same purpose in a sense, in that obviously this bite will refill your blood bar as well. So effectively it works similarly. This one steals blood directly, while this one stuns the enemy, makes you able to do a special attack which steals their blood. It's a minor difference there. And since this is two different ways to do it, right? You can also kind of customize your combat a little bit through, for example, combining these in different ways. An example is that right now I have a pretty good blood steal weapon. This means there's no reason for me to have stun points on my normal melee weapon, because I'm probably not gonna reach up to the point where I break through the enemy's stun defense anyways before I basically kill them. And as such, it's better for me to just focus on dealing a lot of damage so I kill them faster. However, if I would have focused on having really good stun effects with this one, for example, which is focused around stunning, I would probably put in a bunch of points into stun, because I believe this one, for example, yes, as you see here, this one you can choose stun. So this adds a little bit of stun to your standard weapon, which means that this one will add stun as well as your offhand weapon, which obviously adds up much quicker, which means I will be able to bite them sooner and drain blood more and so on and so forth. Then you can also upgrade your blood bite kind of ability. I have not upgraded that ability right now because I don't use it that much. I have focused my build around direct blood drain instead, or blood absorption, so I basically don't need it. When it comes to the kind of firearms, they are pretty simple. You lock onto enemy, you shoot them, basically that's it. Firearms can also have stun. They can't have blood drain because obviously that doesn't make sense, kind of, not really at least. They can also have a, for example, ability that increases damage towards certain enemies. So yeah, that's how the weapons work. Weapon modules, these are used for upgrading your weapon. These are used for either crafting elixirs, which basically can give you well, health, stamina, so on and so forth, basic potions, regen, you get the point. You also use these to craft antidotes, which you can give to characters in the world. I'll tell you about that later when I come to the sections about characters, or when I talk about the characters. This is obviously just the ammunition you have for your different guns. Here are the serums. These are, again, as I said, stamina regen, regeneration, or whatever. And here's the treatments. I have all but one right now. I can just craft one. It doesn't take that much. It's they're not expensive to make, really. Junk, these you either sell or you break them down into components. You also have a little text underneath each of these, as you see here, which will kind of tell you or give you a hint towards what you might want to do with it. This one, for example, has great resale value and can be recycled into components. Probably means I want to sell it. It's probably worthwhile selling it as opposed to breaking it down into components. I will most likely be able to find other things that are not as valuable that I can break down to the same sort of components. So there you go. That's the junk. Quest items, well, they're quest items. Can be things like letters or keys. Pretty simple. Main characters, here's where you equip your different things, obviously. And here's my spells as well. I show you a little bit about the spell upgrade later. You can't upgrade your spells in the inventory. Here's the open world map, or the open map, or the world map at least. The game has a gated open world style of map or level, meaning that you will start at an area, you will progressively unlock each area, and as you unlock these areas, you will be able to freely traverse between the various different areas that you have unlocked. And those you have yet to unlock, of course, you cannot travel to. But you progressively unlock more and more of the map, and they will stay open for you, so you can travel around the area which you have unlocked so far. So it's sort of open world or gated open world in that sense. This is just your quests, so this is what I've gone through. So there you go. You can open these up to get them with more context about the different parts you've done. So there you go. Well, these are acts, and these are the quests within each act, I guess. But anyway. Here we go. This is a little more interesting. So this is the districts menu, so to speak. So these are all the citizens within each district. And then you have the health status of the district, and this is the district itself. There is 4 different districts, as you see, and each district has a number of citizens as well, as you see here. So the health status of district is based on basically the health of the citizens. If people get sick, if people die, that is bad for the health status of a district. If the health status reaches very, very poor status, which this one is, for example, because a bunch of people died here because one of the guys became some kind of insane maniac and turned people into basically ghoulish monsters, and I had to murder all of them, which that was great. It worked out very well. I'm really happy with my choices here. This district didn't turn out too well for me, I have to say. But anyways, yes. So killing killing people, as well as people being sick, will decrease the health status of our district. If it is very low, you will have more enemies around, and they will become more hostile, and it's more dangerous, and so on and so forth. If it's healthy and sanitized, and so on and so forth, if you have higher health status, it becomes less hostile, less enemies, less decrepit, basically, overall. Now, as you see here, a number of people have these little yellow dots, virus things. That means they are sick. This is what you use the treatments for, as you see there. So you basically just give them this treatment, then you wait a period, and then they will be, well, not sick, they will heal, essentially. So that's how that works. That's what you use the treatments for. The same goes for all the different districts, as you see. This one is stable, this one is serious, this one is stable. This one, I have healed one of these guys, given him treatment. He is currently recovering. If I go into a kind of wait period, basically sleep in a bed, time will progress, and this guy will then be recovered or have recovered afterwards. But when you give someone medicine, for example, if I give her medicine, she will become recovering or go into a recovering state. It is first when you actually wait, then people go from sick to healed, or basically from recovering to healed. Or if you have killed someone, it's also if you actually do this wait action, that's when the health status of the district actually is updated. So it doesn't update directly, and it doesn't update in real time. Dynamically, it updates at the point where you go into a waiting period, basically. That's how that one works. Yes. And then we have here's all the different side quests, basically. So each character might be able to give you a side quest, as I told you earlier. This woman gave me a side quest, which I completed. So yeah, that's all these are just side quests. So this quest log, basically. As you see, these are the districts, and as I said before, this one has quite a few side quests. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, basically. This one also basically has 6. One I haven't completed yet, so there you go. This one only has 3, apparently. I guess. At least so far. Might be a few more to find. But yeah, most district doesn't have all that many. That's how that works. Alright, cool. So let's chat with another guy here. I can show you the store as well, because this guy has a store.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. A great night, what?
What? Indeed.
Do you have any family nearby?
Not since my parents died. I'm London's lone gourmet.
Indeed.
Really? But you seem to be such a pleasant and sociable fellow.
I'm afraid the real hedonist has to be sometimes. I discovered ecstasy as a solitary pleasure, but it does not mean it can't ever be shared.
London's lone gourmet. What a strange title.
I used that name in my early years when I was a food critic, and I kept it.
Oh, really now? Isn't that interesting? Yep. So that's how he sounds. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a sense of how the voice acting sounds in this game. So that should be a little bit of an additional indicator. This is the stores. It's very simple. We said not much to show here. You can buy things. You can also sell things. I don't know why these weapons are sellable. As you saw before, I have a hell of a lot more weapons than this. For some reason, these weapons are arbitrarily decided to be sellable, while the other ones are not, I guess. I don't know why. It seems to be completely arbitrary. I've never sold a weapon, so yeah, this is all the weapons I can sell from the ones that I have found throughout the game. So there you go. You can also sell, of course, ammunition, serums, treatments, as well as the junk here. This one, for example, I'm gonna sell because that seems to be the purpose of it anyways. Again, it had great resale value, but nothing that interesting when it comes to breaking it down, honestly. Yeah, and you can sell the ingredients as well as the weapon modules as well if you don't want them or need them. Okay, so let's run off to fight some enemies, shall we, so I can show you a little bit of combat as well. Overall, I'd say the story is really solid, honestly. It's pretty good, relatively interesting. The world is more or less ambiguous, let's say. There's no good or bad characters, or that is purely good or bad for the most part. There's a few people that are just despicable, obviously, but for the most part, most people are mixed. They are not Evel Knievel. They are humans in that sense. Neither purely good nor bad. The game is primarily linear, but has a number of choices throughout, which will rather significantly impact and affect how the game plays out further on. Which makes the hint system rather interesting, actually. Did I ever explain that one? I don't think I did. So the hint system works in a way that you can, since you're a vampire, kill and suck the blood of basically any citizen in the game. Most citizens in the game. No, all citizens. I think all citizens are killable. I believe. Yes. I haven't met anybody who aren't. Well, I met like 2, I think, that aren't. But most of them are. Anyways, if you do this, it will give you a large amount of XP. There's 2 things that will decide basically what you will get in way of XP. Well, it's 3 things. One is the arbitrary amount of XP the game developers decided that each character will give you. There's no real direct reason for why they give you the XP they give. Some give more, some give less. Other than that, though, that actually affects the characters that you can do anything about is their health, meaning that if you want to, for example, mesmerize someone and kill them, you should treat them first, because that will give you a hell of a lot more XP. Additionally, each hint that you know about the character will increase the XP yield as well. I don't find any enemies right now. That's interesting. Have I killed everything around here? Well, let's continue to the next district, I guess. I see this is a pretty interesting city, I guess. It is somewhat annoying to navigate at points, I have to say. It's at points, at times, somewhat confusing. But it's usually fine. Obviously you have a map, so I'm sure you will do fine enough. I've never gotten lost for any longer periods of time. When it comes to the map, by the way, there is no fast travel in this game. You will have to run to wherever you want to go. The map is not exhaustively huge, so it's probably only gonna take like 3 to 4 minutes or something at maximum, unless you stay and fight every single enemy that you find. But anyways, it's worth keeping in mind that there is no fast travel. Here we go, here's some enemies. Not very high level. As you see as well, the enemies do fight other creatures as well, if they are not allied. So a werewolf here as well. which is rather cool. You can obviously use that somewhat strategically if you let them fight each other, while dodging around a little bit while they murder each other horribly. So if you see that up in the corner, the red bar is the blood bar, then I have a stamina bar underneath, and then I have the health on top. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of spells here. For example, the blood bolt. So that's how that works. He's almost dead. Kill him. There we go. Now I have the knife. It's a blood steel knife right now equipped, so I'm gonna steal some blood from this guy. As you see there, that fills it up nicely. So that's pretty simple how that works. I also want to show you how the stun works though, because that's a little bit more unique, I guess. So let's equip that just to show you how the stun works in this game. Now, there is a narratively focused third-person action game, as I mentioned before, so the combat is not super complex. It is enjoyable enough, I would say, but it's nothing excessively complicated or advanced. There you go, and then bite. There you go. So that's how the stun works. Pretty simple, but yeah. Also, when you have stunned an enemy once, it would seem that the next time around they will need to take more stun damage. As you see there, the kind of stun bars seem to have much more segments after the first time I stunned him. So it seems that after each time it will be harder to stun the enemy. So yeah. There's some kind of zombie enemy over there as well. Oh.
Steady, boys, we've got.
Let's do ultimate. This is fun and looks cool. Catch up. Chop. Pretty cool looking thing. Hey, stop it. There you go. So that's basically combat. It is, as mentioned, not especially complex. The game has a number of bosses as well. They are also not particularly complex. It's a bit of challenge, obviously. Sometimes they take a little bit of time to get through. The bosses often have quite a decent amount of health. At the same time, they're not especially difficult. They present somewhat of a challenge, but well, it's not Dark Souls. Let's put it like that. Neither in complexity, nor in difficulty, nor necessarily in how finely adjusted the combat system is either, for that matter, honestly. Now, Dark Souls is obviously well known for being meticulously adjusted and fine-tuned, so it's a bit of an unfair comparison. But yeah, that this game is not. But yeah, I was talking about the hint system. The kind of interesting part of the hint system is obviously that the more you know of a character and the more you get to know them, the more valuable they are to kill, which is kind of a moral dilemma, I suppose. It's like, the more friend you are with someone, the more power you get from murdering them afterwards, which is kind of interesting and weird, but yeah, there you go. It's an interesting dynamic, I have to say. That just happened. Okie dokie. Don't know what happened with the performance there. For the most part, this game has been performing kind of fine. It is, of course, a 2018 console game, so it shouldn't be a problem, but either way, for some reason it is being weird right now. Don't know, that might be some kind of issue. By the way, as you see there on the side of the character health bar, there is two icons. That indicates what the enemy is strong against. So this guy is strong against shadow powers, which is that kind of face looking thing, as well as range attack, indicated by the crosshair thing, or sights. So yeah, that's the combat. That's pretty much it when it comes to combat though. Stop waving your bloody torch like that. Nope. Right now the enemies are really easy because this is a kind of early-ish district, meaning the creatures are somewhat lower level than the current district or the higher districts or higher level districts. The higher level districts though have significantly much more tanky and damaging enemies. Nope. Screw you. Screw you. Yes, fine. Go away. Let's actually see here. I'm going to check. A bunch of sick people at the hospital. I don't know why they are sick. They should be able to cure themselves, it feels like, but whatever. I can show you how you give a treatment. It's very, very simple. It's not complex at all. After that, I am going to show you the leveling up system as well as the kind of spells and stuff like that, which you can only do in a kind of hideout or a safe house or whatever you want to call those things. So let's do that. Let's see here, where am I? Yeah, so the hospital is over there. Let's go. If you may. Here we are. Oh, loot. You can also find loot in different containers around the world, by the way. The loot does respawn, so if you're running around a lot and looting, then you will be able to gather up a pretty decent amount of components and ingredients, so you won't have any problems with crafting neither upgrades nor serums and potions and those similar things. This is not where I wanted to go in, was it? No, it was not. Darn it. Quick cut. Let's do a little bit more dialogue and also cure someone. Because again, that's sort of the focus of the game anyway, so... Yeah, dialogue that is, not necessarily treating people. But yeah. If you don't like dialogue, story and narrative, then this is not the right game for you. Are you sick? You are not sick. He is sick though, okay. Let's find him. There's a bunch of people that are sick really, but this guy, for example, is sick. Hello.
Good evening, Dr. Tibbets.
Dr. Reed, any good news to share?
Perhaps. So, another thing about the characters, you can mesmerize them. As you see here, this is the mesmerize level. Yep, that was unexpected, but anyway, where were I? Right, so the mesmerize level, this guy has 2, you have 4, as long as you're higher, you can mesmerize them. That's what you do when you want to kill them, so you mesmerize them, you lead them away, and then you kill them, suck their blood, get their XP. There you go. That's it, pretty simple. This guy is sick right now, so I can do a medical checkup like this.
Do you need any medical assistance yourself, Doctor?
Yes, indeed. But don't worry, I am perfectly capable of taking care of myself.
Yes, you're very prideful. Here's some medicine.
I have no doubt about it, but you are still ill all the same. Please, take this medicine.
I appreciate your concern, Dr. Reed. To be honest, I just did not take the time to diagnose myself.
Of course.
Goodbye, Dr. Tibbets.
So that's basically how it works. It's very simple, obviously, as you see there. Basically, if the character is sick, you ask them, hey, are you sick? They will say, yes, I'm sick, if they are sick. Otherwise, they say, no, I'm not sick. If they are sick, you can give them medicine. That's done. And he is now, if we look at him in the character menu, he is going to be displayed as recovering, as you see there. Additionally, it's nothing complicated in actually figuring out what the people actually needs, because that will obviously be displayed right here, as you see. I don't have to like investigate what their sickness is. It will be clearly displayed right here. So this guy has anemia, needs a treatment for anemia. This guy has cold, gal, I guess, girl has cold, need treatments for cold, obviously. So yeah, there's nothing complicated there. It's basically no thought required when it comes to that. Is very evidently displayed, and that is not something you have to investigate in any way. Workbench, this is where you create the treatments and your serums, as well as upgrade your weapons or break down your materials. So breaking down materials, easy, recycle, that's how that works. Upgrades, buy, when you have upgraded your weapon to a certain level, for example level 4, you can basically switch these at any time whenever you feel like it. So you're not stuck with a certain upgrade path if you later on decide that it was not the one you liked. I'm going to upgrade these. And I am going to upgrade to, let's see here, beasts and vampires or humans. Beasts and vampires. It's better for me. There we go. Yes, upgrade that one. So yeah, it was only it was already, but only upgraded to level 4, but it did not have these upgraded yet or added yet. So I just added the special things there. Just craft these as well. There's no reason not to have at least one of each treatment. So there you go, and then I can maybe buy one. Well, craft one of these as well. Cool. As that works, very easy. That's the crafting system. Now, leveling system works like this. So this is also how you progress time. So when you want to level up, you basically choose all the skills that you want. Right now I do not have a lot of XP, so I don't want to level up because of two reasons. One, because there can potentially be undesired effects when you level up, due to the fact that you progress time, as well as having a rather small amount right now, meaning I progress time for potentially not that large of a reason or for very little gain. So there is a reason for you to earn up a lot of XP before you actually spend it and level up, because there is a kind of trade-off to leveling up or actually applying your effects. So this is how you buy things. You basically spend them on whatever you want to level up, and then you will have to confirm. When you confirm, that basically you sleep, time progress, and all the different things that will affect the district will then affect this district. So if someone has died, if someone has gotten sick, if someone has been treated, and so on and so forth, all those things that have happened, that you have done, or that has happened without you doing for that matter. So you don't make people sick, obviously. That's something that you can treat them when they've gotten sick, but you obviously don't make them sick. But yeah, so if you haven't treated somebody, or if you have treated somebody, if you have killed somebody, and so on and so forth, all those things that has happened basically takes effect at that point. So there you go. Yes, I don't want to spend my things. I don't want to do that right now because, firstly, again, I don't have that much XP. It's only 2,000. As well as I don't actually want to progress time, because if you look at the characters around here right now, there's a bunch of people that are sick, so I probably want to give medicine at least to these two people because they have a pretty severe sickness. They can go up to 3 in sickness, by the way. I think there's probably one guy that has it at least. Let's see here. Here you go, here's 2 people. These are very sick people. Sickness, again, also degrades the blood quality, meaning that if you basically mesmerize them and suck their blood when they have a sickness, you will get much less XP from it. Even if I know all the hints about this guy, that still doesn't give me full XP. This guy I don't have all the hints for, by the way, as you see, which means I only get 2,500 XP. If I get all the hints there, I'm going to get all of the XP from this guy, which I would assume probably is around 3,000. So there you go. That's how that works. Okay, that pretty much covers most of the mechanics and systems of the game, honestly. Yeah, so there isn't all too much more to cover. When it comes to detective, again, it is pretty simple. It's basically you you can find letters that give you hints. You can talk to people. That's also one way to kind of investigate things. And lastly, you have this kind of vampire site mode. In this mode, you can, one, kind of observe people in certain situations. If they do something that is odd, their kind of blood will start to shine, or their body starts to shine, or whatever, which basically says this is a kind of investigation opportunity, in which case you can investigate them, you probably learn something about them, or something similar to that. Additionally, it is also useful if you want to follow a trail, such as a blood trail or whatever, because then it will be easier to find. Here, for example, there is a blood trail. I'm pretty sure this blood trail pertains to some previous game investigation, I would assume. Doesn't seem to go anywhere right now. Yes, I'm pretty sure it was. But yeah, so that's also a way to investigate things. Otherwise, there isn't much more to the investigation than that. It is pretty simple, and it's very much directed, so you're not going to be confused.
I cannot enter.
That is actually a hideout. That's just not how you enter it. Some hideouts you have to kind of unlock first. And you can also read signs, because that's cool. There you go. That pretty much does it for Vampyr. So yeah, I think it's pretty decent, honestly. If you feel reasonably intrigued by the story, narrative and setting and want to know more about it and learn more about it and kind of experience it, then yeah, absolutely, it may well be up your alley. If, however, you're looking for a game with a very intense and involved combat system that really takes you into the battle and action, really provides a lot of challenge, depth and complexity, well, then this isn't it. As to what you personally are looking for, that's of course up for you to decide. I've had a decent enough time with it myself. I think the setting is pretty cool. The combat does get a little bit repetitive after a while, but it's decent enough. Overall, the game provides a rather interesting and relatively unique world. There isn't that many vampire games out there, honestly, so that's certainly rather appealing in that sense. If you really like vampires, then I mean, you don't really have that much of a choice when it comes to third-person vampire-based action games. I find the story to be pretty decent and interesting. It is a primarily linear game with a number of path-based choices of basically taking one way or the other, or kill or do not kill a character, basically. But yeah, that's it. That is Vampyr. So with nothing more to be said, maybe I'll see you next time.